problem and they can get it passed out of the Senate and signed by the president, they would do it in a heartbeat. The problem is that's not what they're facing. They're facing a president that wants an unconditional increase in the debt limit with no changes to the way we spend money, and a Senate led by Democrats that hasn't passed a budget in over 1,000 some odd days. So I think they're trying to make the best of a very bad situation. But absolutely, we are going to have to deal with the fact that this government spends 40 cents out of every dollar, that borrows 40 cents out of every dollar that it spends. And let me tell you, people think that's just a moral hazard for the country. It's more than that. It's destroying jobs right now. Every penny that goes into the government borrowing is a money that's not available to invest in businesses, to spend at the places where people work. One of the reasons why we have stagnant growth and high unemployment is because of the national debt. It's having a direct impact on our ability to grow the middle class.
All right, every time we hit one of these mileposts, whether it's the sequestration or the debt ceiling or taxes going up or whatever it is that what happens is the solution is just to extend it somehow and create another hurdle in a certain period of time. And then when we get to that point, we do it again. I mean,
it's not the best way to do it.
No, I mean, but is there ever going to be any finality to this?
I mean, there's going to be one way or the other, because there will come a point where this debt will come deal with us if we don't deal with it. And so there's no doubt that it's going to have to be dealt with. But you would hope we would deal with it before it got to that point of crisis, before we become Europe or one of these places that's now scrambling to deal with a problem they should have dealt with a long time ago. But just look at what we're dealing with here. And I mean, the President of the United States just gave his inaugural address on Monday where he barely mentioned the national debt and went into this full-throated defense of an even more expansive government. And this fundamental argument that he made is that the only way to grow the middle class and create prosperity in America is for the government to have more control over our economy. More taxes, more regulations, more spending. I mean, there's a fundamental difference here between the President's view of our future and reality. And so when the President gives an inaugural address and doesn't even address the national debt, that tells you how difficult it is to get anything done.
What is your reasonable expectation for the American people is going to happen? I mean, knowing the president, knowing that he's in power, knowing that Democrats are here in power in the Senate and Republicans in the House, and all the people, all the different interests, what's going to happen?
I think, look, we're going to have to win some elections and get some people up here in both chambers that are going to take this issue seriously.
Within your own party, too?
Well, it's just, I think we have a lot more people in our party to deal with this seriously than in the Democratic Party. But everybody up here knows that this is inevitable, that the time is going to come where we have to deal with these issues. And I wish everybody believed that the sooner we deal with it, the better off we're all going to be. If we deal with these issues now, we get to deal with them on much more favorable terms. The longer we wait, for example, to deal with Medicare, the longer we wait to save Medicare, the more disruptive it's going to be, the more complicated it's going to be. If we act now, we can save Medicare in a way that doesn't change it at all.
Well,
for people like my mom.
Why don't people have the appetite? I mean, everyone does know it's getting worse, and everyone knows if the longer you wait, the bigger the problem is. But the politicians push it down every 3 or 4 months. If everybody knows that, why is there so?
Because you've got, to be quite frank, you've got unreasonable elements on the left wing of the Democratic Party, which dominates that party, that refuses to consider virtually any meaningful changes to any of these spending programs.
Does your party have any responsibility in this at all?
Well, listen, our debt is a bipartisan debt. There's no doubt about it. I mean, people want bipartisanship, there it is. I mean, there's been government spending going on under both Republicans and Democrats and borrowing for many, many years. Now, we've never seen anything like the last 4 years in terms of the sheer scope of growth and spending and the direction that we're going with all of this. But certainly, look, I mean, if the Republicans had the House, the Senate, and the White House, okay, given the current construct of our party, I have little doubt that we would pass a balanced budget amendment, that we would put in spending constraints, that we would deal with these issues. In fact, the Republican House has already dealt with many of these issues. They have passed dozens of bills, serious proposals, to help grow the economy and deal with these issues that haven't received even a mention in the Senate. So that's the reality. I think you need to look at that. But ultimately, look, I think both parties are to blame for a $16 trillion debt. You know, as I said, it's bipartisan debt, although the growth in it over the last 4 years has been unprecedented.